Okay, so this is now recording, and I'll probably not be able to email it to you because the file will be too big, but I can I'll post it on a private YouTube link so you can find it there. All right, so um oh, share my screen first. All right. So in the introduction, then you're going to first identify topic, right? So you're not telling me yet what you're arguing. You're just telling me what the paper is going to address, right? So it's going to be something um, like ethics in everyday life or ethics in the workplace or wherever it is that you're focusing through your interviews on the appearance of ethics in everyday life. So it's going to be something roughly like that. Then you're going to um, sort of narrow your focus and say that you're looking at this um, specifically, say, uh, in the workplace. So hang on, let me. Okay. And that, that might not be exactly what you wind up with. I'm just trying to give you something roughly that you can work with. And then finally, you'll have your thesis statement. So here you're telling me the argument that you're going to make in the piece. And you'll have a sentence that starts with something like, this paper argues that, and then whatever your argument will be. And that, so you can see how in the upside down triangle, you're narrowing your focus more and more, finally to your thesis itself. And um, that's where you leave off this section so that when I get out of the introduction, and the introduction might be a page long, maybe it'll be 3/4, maybe it will be a page and a half. That's up to you. It depends how much you want to elaborate the way that you're going to argue your paper. If you're not sure what that's going to look like, just look back at some of the pieces that we've read. Look at the first paragraph or two, look how they do it, and think, okay, so do I want to do this in the same way? Do I want to say the same amount? Do I just want to get right to the point so that I can just get on with the argument? You decide things in the way that you want to do it in that way. Okay, so then you get to the next, the first section in the body of the paper, and that is the literature review. The whole purpose of the literature review is to set out the concepts that arise in the scholarship that you will use in the paper, right? So here, what I mean by this is that you, in your literature reviews, which again, let me repeat, you did a terrific job on, you're going to identify the particular kinds of concepts that come up in the anthropology of ethics, but they're going to be the ones that are specifically relevant to what you're going to write about in your paper. So you're just sort of sketching out what these concepts look like, how it is that other scholars talk about them, the different sorts of things they have to say about them, so that when you get to the body of your paper where you're talking about your interview material, your research material, it will be immediately obvious to me, the reader, how it is that you're drawing on these concepts as your way of analyzing what it is that um, what it is that you've discovered in your research. Okay, I can come back to that in a moment if you have more questions. Okay, so this is just a very brief section. Um, this is going to be, we can call this a snapshot of the interview, interviewee slash interview setting, right? So that this isn't doing a huge amount of work for you. It's kind of important, but you don't need to do a lot of writing here. This is probably just going to be a paragraph. What you want is for me, the reader, to have a mental image of the person or people who you talk to, all of the interviewees who you talk to, actually. And then whatever about the circumstances of the interview itself are important for understanding how the conversation unfolds later. It might be that there's not much there that matters, but it could be that, um, so say, Jenny, in your case, the first interview, if I remember right, was in the workplace of your interviewee at the office, and that made it more constrained to, um, hang on. Yeah, okay. And that, if I remember right, that made talking about the stuff you want to talk about a little bit more challenging. And so that the answers were not quite, say, as full and open as they could have been. And so that detail is something that you can mention here so that you can also make it clearer why the second interview goes differently and allows you to talk in different directions, right? That, again, that's not a huge point, but it's enough to allow me as the reader to have this kind of image of what's going on, and then I can say, oh yeah, okay, I get it. I can see how it is that this conversation unfolded over two interviews in these distinctive ways, and then it's fine. Okay, so third part is going to be the research material. All right, I think I don't need this open anymore. Just do that. This is where you give your account of what the interview material is telling you, right? And so again, you're doing this in the light of the concepts that you've drawn out of the existing scholarship that happened up in the literature review, but now you're specifically focusing on the interview material itself. So some of that is going to involve just going back over the notes that you've already sent, right? And so some you'll be able to possibly just copy and paste directly from your interview. Not the entire interview, but the parts that are important for you. Some you might need to do a little bit of modification to sort of shape it up to fit into the point that you want to make. But it's also then going to include your thoughts on what's going on, so that this will be your opportunity to go beyond what the interviewees have said and to give your own interpretation, so that it's not just descriptive. It is descriptive, but it's not just descriptive. It's also your opportunity to analyze what's happening, to draw out larger lessons from the different interviews and from the other interviews done by other students. If you want to draw on those, that's fine too. Um, and again, like if you're not sure exactly what this could look like, just go back and look at the ethnographic parts of Clara Hahn's piece or Al-Mohamed and Peluso's piece, and look at how they discuss the ethnographic material that they got when they were in the field. It won't look the same as yours does because they were doing participant observation field work. They were in the field doing the work. You're doing interviews, so it's not exactly the same thing, but it should give you some sense of how it is that you can discuss what the field research has given you without being limited only to what has happened in the field. You have thoughts of your own. You can share those thoughts. You can talk about those thoughts, right? Okay. So, and then the final part of writing will be the conclusion. So in the conclusion, what you're doing is you're starting off by reiterating the thesis. So it's going to be something like, uh, you're giving me a sense of what I should have gotten out of this paper. So in this paper, I have shown, and then whatever it is that you set out to show in the paper. You're going to then broaden it out to the larger implications. So you'll see this as well in the other pieces that we've read, that they'll give you what it is that they've argued, but then they'll also point towards the larger implications, like the new lines of research that this could take, um, things like that, so that you can see, for example, in Das's work, she's going to point out how her writing about ethics and the everyday will sort of prompt us as researchers to be more attentive to the sort of small everyday acts that make up everyday life, but that also have an ethical richness to them that we completely overlook if we're always looking for like the big principles of people's ethical lives. Here, let me close this down now. Get back here. Okay. Um, so that she's reading out the implications of her work beyond strictly what she's shown in the paper. And you'll find this in any of the pieces that you look at. Um, let me pause there. What questions do you have about this? I'm just going to make sure that I save this as well. No questions is excellent. I should add, because I didn't have room to put it on the diagram, um, of course, you also have a bibliography at the end, or a list of works cited. Um, and so that, I mean, that's not exactly part of the writing, but you'll have that at the end of the paper. Um, if you want to, this is not obligatory, but if you want to, you can put a cover page on. I kind of think you should. You're doing a really big piece of work. You're basically writing something that is as major a piece of writing as an honors thesis. And I think you should be fairly proud of that and give yourself a title page for it. But again, it's up to you. It doesn't cost you points if you don't put one on, but that's my suggestion for what it's worth. Um, all right, so what I will do then, I'll make a PDF of this and I'll send it to you. And then when this recording is done, I will post it and send you the link on YouTube so that you can find it. Um, One thing that I would like though is as you're writing the paper, if you have questions, first of all, don't hesitate to email me. Secondly, if you feel that you need a conversation and not just an email exchange, let me know. We can find a time where we can meet on Zoom like this and talk about whatever it is you need to talk about. But come what may, don't leave questions unasked. If there are things that are puzzling you, if there are things you're not sure about how to proceed, that's what I'm here for. Ask me questions and I'll do my best to give you good advice. All right. So what else have we got? Anything else? All right. Well then, I look forward to your papers very much. And I think this has not been the smoothest of all semesters, but I'm actually now at this point feeling confident that you can turn in good work. So yeah, we saw it through. Absolutely, yes, yes. Um, oh, thank you, Jenny. I appreciate that. I'm glad to hear that. Okay, well then, go off and eat or sleep or write or whatever you're going to do with the rest of your day. And that's it. That's the end of our class. Okay. Good night.